marks a special prosecutor taking on 2 corrupt judges.
A roll call with Jane Pauley in New York.
Good evening. As the diplomatic efforts to end this war in the Persian Gulf went into slow motion tonight, the pace of the ground action picked up. 1 American was killed by enemy fire, but the real losses were on the Iraqi side in troops and in equipment. As for Saddam Hussein's answer to that Soviet peace plan, well, Baghdad Radio was saying only tonight that the Iraqi foreign minister will return to Moscow soon. Along the front, the overture to a ground war could be heard. American and British gunners were working side by side today, shelling Iraqi positions inside Kuwait, probing for strengths and weaknesses. At the same time, Allied planes papered the area with leaflets warning the Iraqis to surrender or else. Late in the afternoon, the Americans sent an armored patrol into Iraqi territory, looking for mines and other obstacles. They didn't find any, but when they spotted what appeared to be an observation post, they opened fire, destroying the target. Saddam Hussein's Republican Guards just north of Kuwait were pounded from the air by tactical fighters tonight, and again, no Iraqi planes were launched to defend them. Simultaneously, helicopters swarmed all over Iraqi positions in southern Kuwait tonight. The attack went on for more than an hour, and it involved more than 400 helicopters, most of them American. In the same area, earlier today, U.S. attack helicopters destroyed more than a dozen Iraqi bunkers and forced out hundreds of EPWs, enemy prisoners of war.
They called in the Apaches, they started shooting it up, and it sounds to me like the occupiers of those bunkers, after 13 to 15 were destroyed, decided that they had had enough of this game, and they started waving white flags, white socks, whatever.
However, American troops riding in 2 Bradley vehicles like these and a Vulcan anti-aircraft gun came under Iraqi fire, and an American was killed.
A U.S. company from a U.S. task force engaged enemy forces consisting of infantry, tanks, and artillery along the border. During the engagement, U.S. forces suffered 1 KIA and 7 WIAs.
At the same time, teams of U.S. Marines were engaged in another kind of war. They moved right up to the northern Saudi border and began blasting rock music and messages in Arabic to Iraqi positions. The message, you've suffered enough. Give up. The Allied commander here, General Norman Schwarzkopf, caused a bit of a stir today by telling the Los Angeles Times he believes that the Iraqi army is on the verge of collapse and that it was overrated in the first place. NBC's Fred Francis is at the Pentagon tonight with a report on how the Allies hope to speed up the process.
Tom, the grand strategy to defeat Saddam on the ground may involve tens of thousands of American troops and tanks invading a large portion of southern Iraq.
General Schwarzkopf in his interview said Saddam's army may be on the ropes, but others say you can't count on that, and every U.S. military move must focus on Iraq's past record of tenacity.
He lost 10,000 men on a battlefield and went right on the next day to win, just forgetting about the 10,000 he lost. It didn't cause him to pause at all. So we measure him, we think about him in U.S. terms, Western terms, but it's difficult to say that it's absolutely defeated until it's over.
The key to defeating Iraq is to destroy his tank army, which is literally buried just north of Kuwait's border. To do that, defense sources say, U.S. forces must avoid attacking through northern Kuwait into Saddam's strength, where huge losses could occur. And while American tank units might try to swing to the west and around the Republican Guards, which is called an envelopment, some sources say a grander strategy is possible, sending U.S. tank divisions deep into Iraq in what is called a turning movement, forcing Saddam's tanks to come north to meet them.
All the divisions are north of Kuwait just now, and if they...
Republican Guard
divisions. And if they come out of the bunkered positions, it makes them more vulnerable. So it might be a decision they'd want to think long and hard about.
U.S. ground attack aircraft would turn the desert into a killing field if Iraqi tanks came out of their positions to fight north. If they stay in those positions, precision bombing from F-111s will go on destroying the tanks at a rate of about 100 a day. It's a win-win strategy, say Pentagon sources, for 500,000 American troops who are awaiting orders in the desert.
Some commanders said publicly today that the GIs could wait indefinitely, but privately others say that no army can stay poised in the desert for very long. Tom?
Thank you, Fred Francis of the Pentagon tonight. A senior administration official told NBC News today that the United States now believes that the Soviet peace plan will fade away, but the odds are that Saddam will be able to stay in power. So the goal is to severely diminish his political and military power. NBC's John Dancy is at the State Department tonight with a report on Saddam's slow pace of diplomatic activity. John?
Tom, the diplomatic world was waiting for Saddam today, but the indications are the waiting won't last much longer.
Iraqi Foreign Minister Tariq Aziz left Moscow 2 days ago with a peace proposal from Mikhail Gorbachev. Most Western nations in the coalition have dismissed it. But Gorbachev did get some support from Italy today, which endorsed it. The Italians revealed that Gorbachev's plan calls for a ceasefire. Iraq to begin withdrawing 24 hours after the shooting stops. The coalition would pledge that Iraq would not be attacked during the withdrawal. Saddam is expected to send Aziz back to Moscow tomorrow. This according to governments in contact with Iraq who have passed the information on to American officials. A Soviet spokesman said today his country would wait.
No, there is no deadline, but of course we would like to see that response come to Moscow as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, French Foreign Minister Roland Dumas reportedly told visitors Saddam had until tomorrow night to respond. U.S. officials deny Saddam has been given a deadline. Secretary of State Baker made it clear today the U.S. will not compromise on the basics of a withdrawal. Baker used his toast at a luncheon for Queen Margrethe II of Denmark to spell out the U.S. terms.
Iraq must leave Kuwait immediately, totally, and unconditionally, and Iraq must comply fully with the other applicable Security Council resolutions. Anything short of that is unacceptable.
By saying the words, anything short of that is unacceptable, Baker emphasized the U.S. will not accept any Soviet deal whereby Saddam escaped some of the UN sanctions, like paying reparations.
By concluding that Saddam will probably still be in power when all of this is over, the United States is also concluding it will have to deal with him in the future. One more reason for trying to cut him down to size, either militarily or diplomatically. Tom?
Thank you, John Dancy. The next phase militarily of this war may be governed by the weather, and here in Saudi Arabia tonight, we've got a thunderstorm complete with lightning strikes. When Nightly News continues in a moment, Jane Pauley will be talking with Tom Aspel in Baghdad.
The engine test looked good.
This engine's got incredible stamina. It'll do it.
But there was only one way to be sure. The Hullman Indy Challenge. 24 hours at over 100 miles an hour. No test for an ordinary truck. Lap after lap, hour after hour, this production Chevy truck closed in on the record, and in the end, shattered it.
Really solid engine.
And with 84 models redesigned and engineered, GM is putting quality on the road.
What pain reliever do doctors trust so much they've recommended it over 50 million times in just 6 years? Advil. Gentler to your stomach than aspirin. Safe, trusted, doctor recommended. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
6 months after he took Kuwait by force, Saddam Hussein is apparently trying to talk his way out while playing for time in more favorable terms with drawn-out shuttle diplomacy. Meanwhile, his nation holds its breath and prepares for the worst. NBC's Tom Aspel is in Baghdad tonight.
Jane, there's an air of expectation here tonight. The Iraqis are only too aware that Allied forces have this country cornered, while at the same time many here think there's still a chance that the leadership may accept Soviet proposals.
Everyone's waiting. The leadership here has had long enough to think it over, turn it over, or turn it down. Some say Baghdad radio is normally pretty quick to reject any proposal that involves too much loss of face. The long delay can only be a good sign. Others say too much waiting increases the chance of the ground war beginning before anyone can stop it. For many Iraqis, this war has already gone on too long. Allied air raids have reduced much of the country's infrastructure to rubble. Too many have died, and the real battle, soldier against soldier, hasn't even been fought yet. But Iraq is prepared. The people speak of nothing else. Devastating weapons, big surprises for the American invaders, total victory. They know that the hardships of the last month may only be a small taste of what's to come if what Saddam Hussein calls the mother of all battles does take place. They've been told to be strong, be ready. It's the waiting that's hard on everyone here. The Soviet embassy, one of only a handful of diplomatic missions still open here now, has been busy all day. The Soviets stand to gain enormous prestige if they can pull off a ceasefire. Like everyone else here, they know just how much hangs in the balance.
This particular peace proposal is being considered very carefully here, perhaps because of the timing. A country's fate is at stake now, along with a lot of lives. Jane?
Tom, if the answer to the proposal is a no, what does Iraq gain by saying so? If the answer is yes, why not say it before it's too late?
Jane, nobody knows the reason for the delay here. There could be some internal discussion within the Revolutionary Command Council. There could be other pressures we're just not aware of. We do understand, however, that there's a very good chance that Foreign Minister Tariq Aziz is on his way back to Moscow, but we do not know whether he's carrying a yes or a no to that Soviet proposal.
Tom Aspel in Baghdad. Thank you. Now back to Tom Brokaw in Saudi Arabia. Tom.
Jane, you'll remember that when the air war began last month, it began at 3 o'clock in the morning, and if there's to be a ground war, it too probably would begin in the darkness, because then the advantage is on the side with the greatest modern technology. Well, NBC's Brad Willis is with us tonight to tell us that the Allies might not have all the advantage that they would like.
When it comes to ground war, the battle cry of coalition forces has been, "We own the night." Sophisticated night vision equipment, American commanders say, gives them an unmistakable edge. But NBC News has learned that the Iraqis, too, own a part of the night. In the battle for the Saudi coastal city of Khafji, Iraqi troops moved into position overnight. Coalition forces were caught by surprise. 2 American soldiers were captured. According to military sources, night vision equipment was found on Iraqi tanks. That same night, U.S. forces responded to another Iraqi assault. 11 Marines were killed by friendly fire.
This battle could have been avoided because they would never have been able to find their way there without this equipment.
Iraq's night vision equipment came from the Dutch town of Delft, better known for its fine china than for military hardware. For the past 2 years, Bush administration sources say, Delft Instruments sold the Iraqis tens of millions of dollars worth of sophisticated night vision equipment, including night sights for tanks and helicopters. NBC News has learned that Delft may also have supplied Iraq with infrared detectors called SAMTORs, capable of spotting troop movements as far as 10 miles away.
Now, a U.S. Army unit, when it faces an Iraqi unit, has to face the possibility that these guys can fight at night, that a second-string mechanized brigade can fight at night, that maybe even in one of their third-string infantry units can fight at night.
Key components of the night vision equipment shipped to Iraq were sold to Delft by Hughes Aircraft Corporation of California. Hughes officials say they did not know that Iraq was the final customer, and now claim, quote, "We were hoodwinked." Delft officials will only say that all shipments to Iraq from Delft and its subsidiaries were completed with export licenses. But the State Department, U.S. Customs Service, and Pentagon are investigating the deal. Coalition forces have been counting on using the cover of night to their advantage. But now it's clear that Iraqi eyes could be watching what moves in the dark. The U.S. government is now moving to revoke licenses for any future exports from Hughes to Delft. But in the case of Iraqi night vision for this war, it's too late. Tom?
Thank you, Brad Willis. I'll be back in just a moment. We'll be taking a look at the possible strategies if there is to be a ground war.
Ask me what counts most after 40 years in the car business, and I don't have to think twice. 1, the minivans. We invented them. 2, driver's airbags in every car we build in this country. What do we do for an encore? Put them together. Minivans with a driver's side airbag. Nobody else is doing it. You still have to use your seatbelt with a minivan airbag, but it will save lives. A lot of lives.
Ziploc presents Fingerman.
Hi, I'm here to demonstrate a brand new invention. Introducing the new Gripper Zipper from Ziploc. Now the easiest closing bag there is. In fact, you can close it even if you're all thumb.
How you doing?
Yes, the zipper is grabbing hold. It's locking. Feel it close the first time, every time.
Yeah.
Ziploc bags with the new Gripper Zipper. The easiest closing bag there is.
Now that was a snap.
Your high-fiber cereal.
Tastes like a high-fiber cereal.
But my high-fiber cereal is different.
Why? Because it comes in a big red box?
No, because it's delicious.
Really?
It's the only one with this delicious combination of raisins, dates, nuts, and crunchy clusters.
Keeps sounding better and better.
And crispy high-fiber bran flakes.
That makes it perfect.
That makes it fruit and fiber.
And that makes fruit and fiber my high-fiber cereal.
Post fruit and fiber cereal.
Delicious.
Why would you want your fiber any other way?
Oh, no. My hair's not only going gray, now it's getting thinner. I wish they made something for gray, thinning hair.
They have Grecian Plus. Grecian Plus is a fresh-smelling foam that gradually brings back natural-looking color, the famous Grecian way. But this Grecian has a big plus. It builds body for healthier, fuller-looking hair.
Your hair looks great. Feels thicker, too.
Grecian Plus, the total treatment for gray, thinning hair.
We want to talk now about the possible strategies in a ground war with two NBC military consultants. With us tonight from New York, James Dunnigan, who's an advisor to the State Department, the CIA, and the U.S. military, and retired Colonel Harry Summers, who is also well known as a military author and a lecturer. Mr. Dunnigan, let me begin with you on that comment today from General Schwarzkopf that the Iraqi army is on the verge of a collapse and it was overrated from the beginning of the crisis last summer. Did that come as a surprise to you?
No, I've been saying that for the last 6 months. It apparently wasn't a very popular opinion until there was some evidence. The Iraqis have never fought in the desert, and they had a rather mixed record during the Iran-Iraq war.
Colonel Summers, do you think that if we do go to a ground war, it will then become some kind of a mopping up action?
Well, we certainly hope so, but again, you can't count on it, and because you can't count on it, I mean, one of the great dangers in warfare is to underestimate the enemy, and we certainly don't want to do that.
But based on what you are seeing so far, with 100 tanks a day getting shot up, 500 prisoners today walking across the lines, it is looking less and less formidable, isn't it?
It really is. Very hopeful, and again, great signs, and one that we ought to be able to take advantage of. But I think caution is still somewhat, I mean, some units may be on the verge of surrender. He may have some other units who will fight very hard. Again, it's always better to err on the side of caution, it seems to me.
James Dunnigan, if there is a ground war, there probably will be at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 casualties. Why not just continue to pound him from the air and force him into submission from there?
Well, Colonel Summers is right. Some of those Iraqis will fight. About 10% of the Iraqi army are chosen particularly for their loyalty to the regime. And these can be expected to, put up a fight if we go in there in a ground war. The more we pound them from the air, the more likely it is that very few of them will put up a fight.
Colonel Summers, do you think you can keep those troops up on the front line, leaning forward, I guess that's the phrase, finely tuned for several more days, maybe even another week?
I think you can, especially if they know that the Air Force is doing their dirty work for them. They'll be more than happy to wait a few weeks.
And James Dunnigan, final analysis, what's your best judgment about what will happen if a ground war begins? How long will it take?
We have 500,000 troops lined up along the border. If they start moving, there's not much the Iraqis can do to stop them. All we can hope for is a low casualty count.
All right, thank you very much. James Dunnigan in New York, Colonel Harry Summers in Washington tonight. In a moment, James Hawley will be back with a story of another deadly battle, the battle against AIDS.
Stouffer's invites you to eat like you really like to eat. Introducing 8 of your all-time home-style favorites, like tender Salisbury steak with our original macaroni and cheese, sliced turkey breast in gravy with homemade stuffing. And to tempt you even more, they're all under 370 calories. So dig in. They're new from Stouffer's.
Ask me what counts most after 40 years in the car business, and I don't have to think twice. 1, the minivans. We invented them. 2, driver's airbags in every car we build in this country. What do we do for an encore? Put them together. Minivans with a driver's side airbag. Nobody else is doing it. You still have to use your seatbelt with a minivan airbag, but it will save lives. A lot of lives.
You know, you get so much more out of cold mornings when you've got energy. That's why I eat grape nuts. And I found a great new way to make it hot.
Just pour your grape nut cereal, add milk, and microwave it for 1 minute. You've got this warm, hearty taste that feels so good, and a natural energy source to help keep you going. So, even if it's a cold morning, hot grape nuts helps make it a good one. Try it yourself.
Hot or cold, breakfast with Post Grape Nuts helps keep you going strong all morning long.
I get this awful sinus pain.
These sinus pain formulas all made news in the 80s. They all have the same medicine. Today's news is Tristan Sinus, the only sinus medicine with ibuprofen.
It relieves my sinus pain wherever it strikes.
New Tristan Sinus.
What a feeling fresh.
Introducing Fix-It-Ant Fresh with a crisp, clean feeling and a stronger hold than any other cream adhesive. A fresh new feeling and stronger hold are 2 new reasons to Fix-It-Ant and forget it.
There is a troubling new front in the war on AIDS. What to do about healthcare workers who have the disease and might pass it on to their patients. Tomorrow and Friday, the Centers for Disease Control will hold a conference on the issue in Atlanta. NBC science correspondent Robert Bazell.
Alan Harris is a nurse who was infected sexually with the AIDS virus. He continued to work.
I worked in intensive care units and was around a lot of blood and had my hands in wounds and things like that.
What does he say to a patient who might be worried?
I say to that person that they got the best possible care that they could have gotten and that they should have no need to be concerned about being infected from me.
Federal health officials are trying to decide what, if anything, they should do about people like Harris, nurses and other healthcare workers infected with the AIDS virus. It began with the case of Kimberly Bergalis. Investigators from the Centers for Disease Control determined that she was infected during dental work from Dr. David Acker, who has since died of AIDS. The CDC investigators are now certain that the dentist infected at least 2 other patients, but they still do not know exactly how it happened.
There are 2 real possibilities. One is that he cut or stuck himself and directly exposed patients to his blood. The other is that he contaminated instruments with his blood or the blood of a patient.
Even though the government has yet to adopt a policy, the American Dental and Medical Associations have. They recommend that members who know they are infected either stop performing procedures where blood can be exchanged or tell their patients they are infected.
We must do everything possible to protect even that one patient that might be infected as a consequence of contact with a positive physician.
I think they're being premature, and I think they're reacting hysterically, and I think they're facing incredible potential discriminatory possibilities.
Dr. Petro and other critics of the AMA and ADA policies say it will take away the jobs of many healthcare workers to eliminate a very tiny risk. The meeting here at the CDC is expected to bring up all of the emotional and complex issues, but experts say they are not certain they will be able to come up with a coherent policy about healthcare workers infected with the AIDS virus. What's needed, they say, is a policy that balances the rights of healthcare workers with those of their patients. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Atlanta.
On Wall Street today, uncertainty over the Gulf War helped drive prices down in heavy trading.
Get your little behinds in there.
All over the world, there's a ritual that takes place right before bedtime.
And don't forget to wash behind your ears.
And for over 35 years, one faucet has helped more kids get away with it.
And you two better be clean.
Or not. Delta, the way water is brought to life.
This itchy rash needs special treatment. Maximum strength cortisone 5, with the medicine doctors recommend most, gets under the itch for soothing relief and help in healing. See, the rash is gone. Use cortisone 5 with the medicine doctors recommend most.
When sports cream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why sports cream? Because it worked.
Well, after all, it's still a car. It's not like it had 6 wheels or nuclear power or something. But what it is the first car made in this country, from scratch. The way it's made. The way people care about how it's made. It's all new. We're proud of this car. It shows what you can do when you're willing to start all over again.
If you're counting calories,
Here's something you should know. An entire Kellogg's Special K breakfast, including cereal, fruit, skim milk, and coffee, actually has fewer calories than the leading diet shake. Fewer calories. And when you're dieting, isn't that what's important? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.